take a look, Mike, at the new top 10 that will have to be revamped now after some of these buyouts. Dmitry Orlov still holds down the number 1 spot. Tyler Bertuzzi, after GM Don Sweeney in Boston acknowledged on Thursday that the Bruins are unlikely to sign any of their pending unrestricted free agents. That includes guys much further down the list, like a Thomas Nosek, for instance, that is expected to hit the market on Saturday. Alex Killorn, really interesting piece from the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're still working today to try and re-sign him. JT Comfer, they won't be able to make the money work in Colorado. He will be hitting the market. And as we slide toward the bottom half of the top 10, Blake Wheeler slotting in at that number 8 spot. You see Vladimir Tarasenko jump into the top 10 by virtue of some of the other guys that have gone off the board. Mike, when you look at this top 10, who intrigues you and excites you the most?
Well, Orlov's pretty easy because he's a number 1 defenseman available in goalies. We love defensemen, but I think he'd be phenomenal in Buffalo, man. Like, you look at a team that's got Dahlin and Power that needs somebody that can play the right side with them, and they've got cap space to do it. He would change the dynamic of that entire club. They need a player like him. And even with a Ryan Graves, I'm going to stick on this D theme here. Where's he going to head to? Well, for me with Graves, like, he's now number 2 probably on the list of defensemen, and he can skate. And that's a big, big plus for any D that's out there. I'm not sure where he's going to head to, but I think that a team, again, like a Minnesota could really use someone like him because they're going to lose Dumba. They tried with Klingberg. I know they don't have a lot of cap space, but I think they need to revamp that line, even if they have to move out of Merrill or somebody else. So those are the 2 that I've really eyed. And even Tarasenko. Frank, where's he going to land? Like, this is kind of a wild card contract, I believe, because he's made a lot of money. Maybe he just wants 2 years. Maybe he gets 5 or 6 mil. But boy, he'd look great on a dumpster dive contract like Carolina, namely a team that needs scoring desperately, even on the right side power play. He'd look really good being fed pucks from Sebastian Aho.
It's funny. There's been very little chatter about Vladimir Tarasenko in the marketplace. I know Carolina was interested previously. I don't know that I see them spending on a big ticket item like a Tarasenko, even though they could
that's why it'd have to be a discount.
Use a finisher, but they also have the space potentially available from Max Pacioretty. That deal comes off the books. By the way, Pacioretty, I do think the Canes are making a last-ditch effort to sign him as well, coming off of the second ruptured Achilles. They also are closing in on re-signing Jesper Fast. Blake Wheeler, I have a prediction. It's not really a bold one, but I think it's an intriguing fit. I talked to Dallas Stars GM Jim Nill the other day, and he was saying after the draft that they are working on trying to land a winger. They don't have much cap space. I just feel like that's the perfect team for Wheeler to step into. In depth, pressure is off a little bit in a spot where you can, play just be a guy. You don't have to be the captain. You don't have to be the focal point of the organization. Just come in on a short-term, short money deal and produce on a team that went to the Western Conference Final again.
It's as Jim Nill of a contract as you could ever imagine, right? Take table scraps in a place that everybody wants to play. Look at Pavelski. He's been phenomenal there. And it would make sense with Wheeler, but I could also see him as also somebody like Carolina tries to resuscitate as well. I think they're going to be pretty much in the mix here. They need scoring. And I think any of those players could fill it.
Okay, so we've talked about this being the worst free agent class that we can remember. And in saying that, it's not to disparage anyone in the top 10, but I'm not really all that intrigued with the top 10 this year. Where I'm most fascinated with this class, Mike, is way further down the list, somewhere between 25 and 50, because with the 4th straight year of a flat salary cap and so many teams being up against it, especially the contenders, you're going to need to find value somewhere. And this is actually the year to do it. So when you look at this top 50, which will be coming out on dailyfaceoff.com in a matter of hours, where would you be looking? What guy would you hone in on to try and sign?
Well, the question is, who's your favorite? And I think my favorite's going to be any depth that you can find at center ice because it makes a difference. Look at the Vegas Golden Knights. They just won with Nick Waz, their 4th-line center, who's better than that slot for a lot of teams.
Okay, so give me your guy.
Give me Nick Bjugstad Or give me
Ooh.
Tomas Nosek. You take either of those two, and I'd be happy. But Bukestad, I love that he resuscitated his career in Arizona last season. Had 17 goals, and then he went to Edmonton and played pretty well there as well. What I like, though, is that he's a penalty killer that can eat minutes in your top 4 on the kill. He was one of only 2+ players for the Arizona Coyotes last year, and I think he's very much slotted into being now a 4th-line center, or it could bump up to 3rd if you need to. But I think he's the value contract that you can get in that role. It's going to pay big dividends of probably $2 million or so. Nosek is very much like that as well. To me, these are the cogs of teams that are sometimes forgotten. The depth center that can drive their teammates, but also play an even more elevated role on a penalty kill. So give me Bukestad or Nosek, Frank. Who's your pick?
So Bukestad's interesting. I think the Oilers have actually offered him a 1-year, $1 million deal to stay. He kind of rejuvenated his career this past year, starting in Arizona, getting traded to Edmonton at the deadline. And he was a guy that was on the ropes a bit. Will he leave some money on the table to go to a contending team is the question, because you could probably get 2 or 2.5 somewhere else with the goals that he scored. I'm going to give you a couple guys. I'm going to say Connor Clifton. Actually, 2 guys coming out of Boston, Connor Clifton and Garnet Hathaway. Love what Hathaway can do in your bottom 6. Versatile, can touch a lot of different areas. Also, Clifton, he's a physical guy. He's got an edge. He's at times people don't love his risk profile, but people really like having him around and in the room. So I think that's another interesting fit as well. I'm going to give you Ryan Donato from the Seattle Kraken, coming off a 14-goal year. I think he's another guy that has some versatility. And how about this? No one's really talked about him much, and he's had some struggles ending his time in Montreal. But Jonathan Drouin, 1 year, $1 million deal somewhere. What about the Colorado Avalanche? Rejuvenating his career, maybe rekindling some magic from his junior days with a certain teammate in Denver. What do you think?
You think so? You think maybe Mr. McKenna could help him a little bit?
I think he could help anyone. I mean, for $1 million, like I would take the chance.
Yeah, for $1 million, I'd do that for sure. I also like Connor Sheary, 30, 40-point guy. He'd be good too. But I like that Duran line of thought. That's creative, Frank.
Sheary, he's good. Someone's going to pay him somewhere. I don't know what he is. I'm not like, what is he good at? Give me his skill set. I know that he puts up points, but like if you were to give him an archetype, I don't know where you'd put him.
That's why I think he's valuable. He's a little bit of everything.
So a Group 6 free agent also expected to hit the market, Matthew Phillips from the Calgary Flames. I think the Flames are going to take one last run at him today to try and re-sign him. A lot of that going on. We'll talk about the free agent goalie market in a second and the goalie market at large. But teams like Carolina, they don't have anyone in net except for Kochetkov. What happens with Freddie Anderson? Will he hit the market? Luke Shen from the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's a lot going on today for teams. They've got a lot of business to take care of, Mike. The draft just ended on Thursday, a 2-day turnaround to free agency on Saturday. It's usually a week to 10 days. So teams' heads are spinning as well as ours.